Good afternoon, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. We have a wonderful show today. You know, oftentimes we speak to entrepreneurs and founders and we talk about technology and we talk about business and we talk about what their startup is doing or what their Inc. 5000 or Fortune 1000 company is doing. Today's interview is very interesting because we've invited Mr. Tom Graham on the show, and Tom is the CEO of Life Imaging Florida. And something very interesting about this interview is when you get to interview someone that is actually responsible for saving lives, it becomes much more important. So Tom, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, my pleasure, Andy. I'm happy to get this knowledge and information out to everybody we can.
This is super cool. You're the CEO of Life Imaging Florida. You've opened up your flagship office, if you will, in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Your goal ultimately is to spread these all the way around the country. But this preventative screening that you're doing at Life Imaging Florida is a life changer and a game changer. So let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet and tell us all about Life Imaging Florida.
Yeah, well, it's pretty amazing, Andy. And this is, fairly new to me as well. I mean, I've been a serial entrepreneur most of my adult life, and I've never been in the medical field, and I kind of stumbled into it. A good friend of mine has been working this particular business model for a while in another state. And by the way, the only guy in the country that I can find does exactly what we do. So it makes it pretty exciting. It's not that our technology is unique or a patented technology. We just happen to use the technology a little bit different. So the idea normally is when you get a CT scan done, Andy, you go because the doctor thinks something's wrong. They want to look at a heart. They want to look at a lung, a liver, a kidney. Something is wrong. Well, what I've learned over the last 2 years, and it's been a journey, is that, there's a better way, if you will. Now, I'm not going to change reactive medicine, although some of the docs are coming along with it, but I can use that same technology to find early signs of heart disease in and around the heart with a high degree of accuracy. They say 98% accuracy. What's amazing about it is, normally, the doc gets you on a treadmill, it does a stress test, but what they don't tell you is that's not going to tell you how much blockage you have. So when we take a picture of the heart using this high definition, low dose CT scanner, we can see exactly what's going on in and around the heart. We can look for any early signs of coronary artery disease. And quite frankly, sometimes, and I don't want to say often, but sometimes it's just life-saving. We've had instances where someone would come in, they get scanned, and they've got huge amount of blockage in what's called the widowmaker, right? We've all heard of this widowmaker. Well, we don't want to be any party of that. That's the one that's the deadly silent killer, because 30 to 40% of the times when people have a heart attack and it involves the widowmaker, it's sudden death. The first symptom can be sudden death. So if I can get a view of the heart, we can get ahead of it. We can look and see if there's anything that's going on. We can see any early signs. And what's amazing, and what I've also learned, and keep in mind, Andy, I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm a businessman. But what I've learned is that heart disease is preventable. And heart can get better. So once we get this insight from this great scan that we can do, then we know what's next. We know sometimes you have to take some action that we may not want, but at least now I get to go to the grandkids' wedding. So that's the exciting part. In addition to that, we can do full body scans from the neck to the pelvis. We can look at all the organs inside of the body. We can look at the spine. We can find all kinds of ailments. Sometimes you can find cancer, some cancers a decade ahead. Can you believe that? A decade ahead. So it's amazing when you use this technology in this preventative fashion, that the things that can happen and the lives that can be saved. And keep in mind, I've only been doing this now for a short amount of time, and we've got some stories. I mean, I just opened a week ago, and we've got somebody that came in that's about 95% blocked in the widowmaker, asymptomatic, doesn't have any idea. As soon as the doctor saw it, they made her right away go to a cardiologist. You've got to take action, because that's something that can just suddenly be, unfortunately, it can suddenly kill you. Now she knows she can take some action. She can do some things now to get better, whether it's change your diet, get off the couch, quit smoking, get some exercise, whatever it takes. But the knowledge is so powerful. That's what's exciting.
Yeah, that's super cool, Tom, to be a businessman, but know that you've put a business together that actually is so important in people's lives. And we know that the low dose CT scanning technology has improved dramatically throughout the years. We know that preventative screening can help save lives with two of the biggest killers on the planet, heart disease and cancer. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, that's exactly right. As I described, we can find the most earliest signs, or sometimes we find people in late stages, but at least now they know they can take the appropriate action. And listen, the sooner you find out, the better off you are, because the less invasive the treatments are going to be. So the idea, and believe it or not, and it sounds amazing. And, people say all the time, well, why aren't more people doing this? Well, they're not doing it because it's not reactive medicine. We're used to this reactive approach to it. In addition to that, insurance doesn't pay for a lot of this preventative screening. So a lot of people aren't even aware that you can do this. And one of the things that we've done at Life Imaging Fla is we found a way to get people aware of the fact that you can even do this preventative screening in a way that we've made it affordable for everybody.
So Tom, that's absolutely amazing. And I know that you're going to grow this business. And as a businessman, it must feel great that you're helping or going to help so many people with these life-saving preventative screenings. Let's talk about the process. Somebody hears the show, somebody hears about this. Everybody's talking about it now, especially down in Deerfield Beach that you're open. What's the process? Do they make a phone call? Do they set up an appointment? How long does it take? And what's the process for someone to get their screening?
Sure. Yeah. So the way it works is you just give us a call. One of my people here, primarily Judy, is the one that you would talk to. Judy will then go through some gathering of some information. We want to get a feel to make sure people are age appropriate. We primarily want to screen people between the age of 45 to 75. We want to see if they have any history of heart disease or cancer in the family. We just do a quick interview on the phone. Then we set up the appointment. And it's really quite easy because, as long as you're not wearing any metal in your clothing or a belt, you don't even take your clothes off. There's no contrast. There's no dyes. You simply come in. Now, we'll have you sit down with one of our patient advocates, because part of the process is to give you the education needed. And, quite frankly, as we opened up here, we're doing a great thing. We're offering free heart scans to everybody. And then once they come in and get a heart scan, we can get you in at absolutely no cost. We're doing it, literally free. There are a few minimum requirements, but part of that is age, et cetera, that we'll go over with you. But we're offering these free heart scans because it's a way of getting us to get the education out there. People can come in. And by the way, the heart scan has a value of about $500. So these free heart scans are attracting a lot of attention. And the idea is that once you come in, you can sit with one of our patient advocates. We'll go over the other screenings that we do, the cancer screenings, and it may be applicable to you. And if so, they can get involved with some of this other cancer screening that's very beneficial to people.
Wow, Tom, that's incredible. Yep. A $500 value. And for heart scans, it's absolutely remarkable. But that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur to make sure that your clients love you and make sure that you're helping as many people as you possibly can. It's a great idea. Now, once the scan takes place, the people are going to be questioning, well, then what happens? Where does the scan go? How does it get read and all that?
Yeah, perfect. Well, of course, we have a licensed technologist that runs the equipment, licensed with the state of Florida. And then I have radiologists, doctors who will be reading the scans. And then they put a report together. Once the radiologist takes a look at it, if there's anything urgent, we get back to the people right away and let them know, hey, we found something a little bit urgent. We want you to pay attention to this, and we'll forward the information to their doctor. And sometimes, if we need to, we can forward the information to one of our cardiologists. I have two great cardiologists that we are working with here in South Florida, one of which is the president of the American Medicine Cardiology in all of Florida. So we can refer out to these doctors to get any needed, work done or anything needed to get these people in a good place. And, it's so exciting because it's really non-invasive, obviously painless. The machine, the scan literally only takes, the heart scans are 4 or 5 minutes. A full body is 7 or 8 minutes. So you lay in this great, comfortable, it's like a couch, like a little bed, which moves you in and out of the scanner, and that's it. And if you don't have any metal on, you don't have to take anything off. You can wear the clothes you came in on. And again, the information we get from these screens is so valuable and so important to people. I get goosebumps all the time. When I get involved with somebody and we get somewhere, like this person I just spoke about is someone we just screened last week. And bless her heart, now she's got literally, grandkids and children. And, I tell people all the time, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your family,
That's beautiful, Tom. That's beautiful.
Yep.
So let's pull the lens back just a little bit more, because you had some very important points that I want to get across on the show.
Sure.
Is that the people that are doing the scanning, they're certified expert scanners from the state of Florida. The scan itself goes to a radiologist.
That's correct.
The radiologist reads the scan. Now, this is a radiologist. They're medical doctors, and they read the scan.
That's correct.
They look at the scan. They probably do these scans all day long, so they know really what to look for. These are highly trained professionals. These are people that have been through medical school, and they specialize in reading these scans. And then they put a report together, whether it's, God willing, negative, that there's nothing wrong, or if there's some positive aspects of the scans that they believe the person should look out for. They put this in a full medical report that comes to Life Imaging Fla, Florida, and then you then distribute that report to your client. Is that the process?
Yes, that's the process, except the way it works is our reports go directly. We receive the reports back, and then we put them in an environment that the client can go and retrieve their own reports themselves. And you're right. The doctor, depending on what's on the report, will then know if any action is needed. And listen, I want to be clear, most people are okay, but at least now that, you don't have any issues that you need to worry about. And when we find something, we all know early detection is what saves lives. We all know that the earlier you find it, the better off you are. And when I tell you, sometimes they can find cancer in one of these screens that's the size of a grain of rice, then you're much better off than some tumor that grows inside of your body, God forbid. So the whole idea behind this, it just makes too much sense, doesn't it? But the part of this process and what we have to do is just get the education out there. I'm currently working in the South Florida market. We're going to expose this through radio marketing. We're going to expose this through TV. As a matter of fact, we're going to have Dr. Oz promoting us here in South Florida. So we've got some really good things going on that'll help get the word out there. We just have to give people the awareness that this can even happen. I didn't know this 2 years ago. I don't know if you knew it, but I talk to people all the time. I'm in South Florida now. I play tennis with these 60, 70-year-old men. And when I tell them what I do, they're like, when can I get scanned? And I'm like, well, let's get you in, because it makes too much sense.
It really does.
Yeah, unfortunately, with medicine, it's just this reactive approach that puts us where we are, and the fact that, insurance, it's not an insurance play. The good news is, let's say you come in, we find something, we get on it, we get you into a good place, we get you healthy. But what happens then? Insurance kicks in. Then the insurance will take over, if there's, God forbid, something that needs to be attended to.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I know there's going to be many more remarkable findings. And again, God willing, people come in and you find nothing. But I tell you, it's a great insurance policy to know that the certified medical doctor radiologist didn't find anything on the scan. And the scan was done by a certified scanner. So you have all the top medical professionals that are certified in the field working on this on your behalf when you come into Life Imaging Florida, which is really a wonderful thing to know, that you're going to have some top-notch professionals attending to you, scanning you, reading the scan, providing the report. It's remarkable. Now, you mentioned...
And I got to tell you, Andy, I lost both my parents to cancer. I'm now 60 years old. And I didn't realize until I got scanned, a year and a half ago, how much it weighed on me, how much it was in the back of my brain. When's the axe going to fall? Because both of my parents died of cancer. My mom at a very young age. My father was a cancer survivor for 12 years, and then he ended up passing away when it came back. So for me, I was like nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, but I have to go. I'm going to get in this business. And I knew the power of it. And so I went in and got scanned. And when it came back, what the doctors call it, unremarkable, meaning there's nothing inside of my body and my organs currently that's showing any signs of cancer. What a relief. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm good, and now I get to go on. And then I can, if I want, I can come in and get screened in a year or two and come in. We recommend sometimes, depending on if you have history in your family, come in and get an annual screening. To spend 30 or 40 minutes in our facility and get screened and know that you're in good shape is well worth it once a year. Come on, it's a no-brainer, right?
It's a no-brainer, Tom. I'm telling you, this is wonderful. And what you're doing for people in that.
Thank you.
In that Deerfield Beach area is amazing. Yep. I'm sure that you'll be expanding very, very quickly. Let's talk about entrepreneurship just a little bit, because this is the Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I think people understand how important preventative screenings are. The low-dose CT scanning technology has improved dramatically. You've got top-notch medical personnel working on the team to not only scan, but read the scans and provide the reports. It's amazing. Yeah. So when we think about entrepreneurship, Tom, I mean, a lot of people are watching the show and they might be saying to themselves, this is really a fascinating journey that Tom took. He had both of his parents pass away from cancer. This thing kind of came across his desk. It interested him a great deal. He knew that he could change some people's lives for the better. What was the process to sort of get involved and get started with Life Imaging Florida?
Well, that's an interesting story, Andy, and I'm glad you asked. And that had to do with my screen that I had done also. So what happened and how I found out about this was I told you I've got a friend that's been doing it in another city. And I had lost track of him for a dozen years and ended up moving back into the Tampa Bay area where I live. And we got reacquainted. And we knew each other from the past. We were both business owners. We were both kind of in the same industry, but I had lost track of him. I had no idea he was doing this medical stuff. And it really was casual. We just were going to get reacquainted. Said, let's go have some dinner. Let's go have some lunch. We started talking. Then he starts telling me about these stories about saving lives. And I'm like, what? And he's like, Tom, it happens every week and sometimes multiple people. And after hearing all of these stories, I was like, Dan, this is amazing. I said, I'm looking for something to do. I said, how about you and I go down and we'll go, because he's up in another state. And I go, we'll go to South Florida. It's, big market. It's full of baby boomers. It'd be great. He said, yeah, that'd be great. He goes, but Tom, I'm getting ready to retire. And, my son's going to take over the business. I don't, he goes, but if you want to do it, I'll consult you and, I'll explain to you what I can do. And I was so grateful that he was willing to help me, honestly, because I wanted to do good on the planet. Listen, if I can do good on the planet and make a living, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I've owned businesses in the past. I've had up to 100 employees, about killed me. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. But, we got 8 employees, 10 employees. I can handle that, in my sleep. So, that's how it kind of transpired. So it came out of nowhere. But as soon as I learned about it and as soon as I went and got scanned and I experienced it, I was like, this is crazy. I got to get this out there. And that's how it happened.
I love it. What a great story. You found yourself a good friend who also, in a certain regard, became a mentor on the new business. And
that's right.
We talk about that all the time on the Entrepreneur Spotlight Series about finding a good mentor that can help you get through the potholes and get around the obstacles, because they've already made the mistakes and hopefully they can stop you from making the same mistakes that they made, right?
That's right. That's right. And the intricacy of the business is a bit of an art, the way it's working and how we developed it, or how he developed it. Actually, it's really, really unique in the way it's done. And so that's what made that made it a lot easier for me. If I would have gone on this journey without him, it would have been, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I could have figured it out. I'm a smart guy. I protect my business too. And I don't want to give too much of the information out to everybody, because I want to grow my business. But I've learned that I don't care. You'll never figure it out, because it takes a little bit of, certain ththings that we do to make it work properly. And it's very exciting. We turned on the radio campaign and I got almost 80 calls in the first 2 weeks.
That's fantastic, Tom.
Yeah.
So many people understand about health now. So many people understand.
Oh my God, Andy, listen, I was 6 months delayed due to COVID. I had rented my building. Now I've got an empty building I'm spending a lot of money on every month. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrific. But what's happened is I think people are understanding, at least I've now developed it, and it came before COVID for me, but listen, if we don't take care of ourselves, nobody else is going to take care of us. Look at what's gone on. This whole insurance debacle, this whole thing about, they don't care. I don't care what you say. They just don't care. And I got to tell you too, I'm a little disappointed. I've learned a little bit from time to time. A lot of the doctors have a good interest in everybody's well-being, but they're hardworking guys and they're very busy too. But for me, I think it's just as exciting as it can be.
Yeah, this makes all the sense in the world, because if you can go in to the Life Imaging Fla, if you're in the Deerfield Beach area, and I would even suggest driving an hour or two, because it's important.
Yeah,
and
we
then,
get people,
obviously, right?
Yeah,
Tom?
sorry. We get people from, as far, we had someone come up from Homestead just above Key West. So, right now we're reaching people all the way from Miami, as far north as West Palm, almost up to, I think, almost Jupiter or Stewart up there. And you can shoot right down 95. It's an easy drive. So this whole Gold Coast market is why I came here.
That's wonderful. And we talk about it all the time with entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, something goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur in most cases, and that's some stress. Yeah. And same anxiety. And one of the definitions of being an entrepreneur is you have some stress because you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many wonderful people who are entrepreneurs that get under that stress umbrella don't take care of themselves in the meaningful way that they can. And by getting a preventative type screening that will help you understand about heart disease and cancer in your body, it's just an insurance policy. And if you're an entrepreneur and you have a big company, so many people depend on you. Why wouldn't you invest some, what I'll call preventative money, to help you understand where you're at, so you know where you're going? And I bet you're going to have a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs come in to the Deerfield Beach Life Imaging Fla to get their checkup once they understand that so much is riding on them. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's even an opportunity to go into, I haven't done it yet. I'm just thinking out loud with you, but there's an opportunity to talk to companies these bigger companies with many employees, where they can get ahead of it, because in the end will save them money when people are not out sick in some sort of detrimental situation. And so it works from every angle as far as that goes, not to mention, for your own family. You got to do it for your family. The entrepreneur, you're right, there's a lot of stress and strain. We've done it. There's a lot of guys like me out there, and it can be. But the other side of the coin is, an entrepreneur, when you get over the hump, there's nothing better. I mean, I sold my last business almost, semi-retired almost 10 years ago. I just for fun went out and tried to get a job. Are you kidding me? A job? So it's like, I had a job with a business development firm, thought I'd enjoy it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, So yeah, the entrepreneurs know it, and they know that stress and strain, and we're happy to take care of them if they can get in and see us.
I love it, Tom. And I know we've only sliced out a certain amount of time. Obviously, you just opened, your phones are ringing off the hook. People are coming in left and right. I know you're running an organization here, but I have a final question for you. We do have some younger entrepreneurs that watch the show, Tom. I know that you have been through it. You're an entrepreneur through and through. You're a businessman. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could share some insight or some words of wisdom to the younger guys and gals watching the show about what it takes to get through those potholes or those tough times as an entrepreneur.
Sure. So I've told this story a few times, right? And I tell the story about, in my early 30s, I opened my first business. And until then, I was a hardworking, I was a marketing sales guy, like a lot of guys out there. And I had an opportunity to launch a business. And I tell people all the time, it changed my life profoundly. Because when you have your own business, it gives you, the stress and strain, the reward you get from that comes back to like being able to sort of put your own schedule together, and to be able to, for the first time, maybe get the lion's share of any earnings instead of being at the bottom of the food chain. And All I would say is that, if you've ever thought about it, or you have a dream, or you've thought about an idea, go for it. Do not hesitate, because it'll work. It will work. Just don't even put it in your brain that it won't work. Once you get there and you start heading in that direction, because what'll happen is it's either going to work or you'll get a little sidetracked and whatever's over there will work, but you're going to find your way. Because there are worker bees and there are those other crazy people, and you want to be part of that, because it's not sometimes easy to do, but the reward is endless. I do not ever think you can't do it. You can.
I love it, Tom. I love it so much. And your passion about business comes through. And more importantly, your passion about helping people comes through. So you found your place. It all came together and coalesced in this wonderful story, this wonderful opportunity. Your friend who became your mentor told you about all these stories about saving people's lives. And you said to yourself, wow, what better way to have a business than to help people with their health and saving their lives through preventative screening using these low-dose CT scans with the best technology. You're surrounded by the best operators of the equipment, all certified from the state of Florida. You're surrounded by the best radiologists that are looking at the scans and running the reports for your clients. It's a wonderful, wonderful story, Tom. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I mean, this is really awesome. You have so much to be proud of. And I'm sure there's somebody in the waiting room right now that is so excited to learn the results, which God willing is going to be. What's the word when they say there's nothing going on? There's a special word.
Yeah, well, it's
unremarkable. Unremarkable.
Right. For the first time, you want to be unremarkable.
That's right. But you're remarkable.
Thanks,
your clients and the radiology reports, we want them unremarkable. Tom, what a great show. Congratulations on what you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight Series.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here and very blessed. Thanks, Andy.